Alright, so we're going to be making the definitive tier list, the only tier list that matters in the entire game right here. For Swarm specifically. Yeah,
That's what it is.
I mean, we're the smartest Storm players in the game, so we figured...
Of course. We
Yeah.
know how to spend upgrade points, so we're leagues above anybody else.
That is unfortunately true. But yeah, so we figured we've been talking about it a bunch, so why not make one? And I'm assuming, Dom, you're looking at the same tier list thing as me?
Yeah.
I don't know, it has like all the comment on it, all the written on it.
Fair enough.
Anyway, so I figured we should go over what we say. So, like, what S tier means, what A tier, B, C, D. So I figure S tier is like saying you're upgrading properly. You pretty much should win every game if you pick this with proper upgrades, right?
Fair enough.
A tier is like they're not as good as the S tier ones, but if you're good with the A tier, they're probably better than an S tier. Right? So like if you main a Hawker and you're really good on Hawker and I say Hawker's A tier, you should probably pick Hawker over whatever I say is S tier, right?
Right, just because you're better with it.
Right. B tier is middle of the road. It's like whatever. You can pick that, I guess. Like it's not gonna hurt the team. It's not gonna be great. I don't get annoyed. It's better than the tiers below it. Not really as good as A or S. So like maybe don't pick it unless you're like having fun messing around. If you're trying to win, probably don't pick B or C or D. That's simple.
Pretty much.
C is like you're not throwing, but it's not great. Whatever.
Now,
D,
granted, some of these have map exceptions because there's certain maps where you could play one of the lower tier ones.
That is true.
And I wouldn't be super mad at you.
This is a general list of like on most maps where do these brawlers, these written fall? Because yeah, that's a good point, and I'm sure you're gonna bring that up when we actually get there, huh?
I will.
And then D is probably a bad pick. Like just probably don't ever pick this written is what I will say a D tier is. I mean, if you're trying to win, don't pick D. Probably don't pick C. Don't really pick B either. If you're trying to win, it's that simple.
Really,
so do we want to just go from left to right on my screen?
That would work.
So I am looking at a Hawker.
Hawker. My favorite written. The one and only D tier written.
You're putting D for Hawker.
Oh yeah, they're absolutely terrible. There's too many breakout options and they don't deal damage. Even if you upgrade them well, that requires somebody to upgrade Horde really well too for them to be good.
Oh, that's also something. We are going to rank where we think upgrading Horde falls as well for this. That's something to note.
This is fair.
So I am putting Hawker in B.
Oof.
So you're right, there are a lot of options to get out of it. But that's the nice thing about Hawker is it's a quick cooldown and it burns a breakout or a taser or an Evangelo, which allows Crusher to do something. It allows other things that do very high damage and can get hurt by a taser the option to use their thing.
That being said, Tall Boy counters that because you get knocked out of Hawker.
Yeah.
Which is really frustrating.
That's true. But also, if they don't have... This is assuming they have stuff. A lot of players don't have Breakout. There are a lot of times where Hawkers get an exceptional amount of value. I think they're an above average pick. I think... I mean, I'm not putting any written in D tier. I don't think that there's any written you can pick that I think is a hindrance to the team. Now, granted, if you're a bad player playing a good pick, you can still do bad, obviously. But, like, I don't think that there is a hindering written. Like, I think they're all good.
All right.
So Stinger is next.
Ooh, baby. I have that at S tier because I think if you have the right upgrades, that is the highest damage written.
Yes, I 100% agree. So I have the game up right now. So I'm just going to look at the Stinger upgrades. So Lifesteal, 10 health per hit. Stingers have splash damage. If they're camping in a room, you are hitting 2 to 3 cleaners per shot. You are healing 20 to 30 health per shot. If you have ramping damage and ramping health, you are ramping 2 to 3%, or 3 to 6 to 9% per shot. And on top of that, Frenzy is literally just the greatest upgrade in the game. And
Yeah,
Stingers
Frenzy's
utilize
kind
it
of
the best.
insane.
And then on top of that, they have Sneak Attack for the extra 100% more damage, and then they deal 50% below half health, or 2 damage. They deal so much damage.
Those are real words.
Dude, they just do everything so well.
Yeah, by far the highest damage ridden in the
Just
game.
go bottom, and you win. Literally, if you just go utility and get Frenzy, you don't even need to get the down. You do not need to get it. Your freaking tall boy or whatever can go in, die 20 times, and get the kill. Guess what? You're killing the rest of the fucking lobby because you just hold left click. Like,
You have 45 minutes where you have infinite ammo.
It's so good.
It's great.
It's so good. And the last stinger. Your boy, Stalker. Any map.
So I put that in C tier.
I knew you were going to.
Because I think there is one map that it's good for.
2 maps. Farm is a good map.
Farm
Farm
right.
has
okay.
2.
There are 2 maps that they are good for, assuming the other team doesn't know that strat.
And most teams don't. And what he is referring to is if there are maps that have ledges that you can fall off, you can Stalker, grab people, and walk them off the map. And that will insta-kill them.
No reses for that guy.
Yeah, you can also technically do it with a Hawker, but it's significantly harder.
Yeah, you have less. You have to line that up a lot better, whereas Jumpster McGee, you can just grab them and walk.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, nobody knows how to upgrade Bottom Tree, so I think that hurts a lot.
Yeah.
I don't think they deal a ton of damage. Honestly, I think they're better if you go for downed people rather than people who are still up.
Yeah.
I think that has more value.
Because you can just drag them into Storm and make people not want to go for it.
Yeah.
I'm putting mine in B.
Ooh, okay.
I think they're worse than Hawker, which is why they're farther to the right. But I do think they are good. Like, if you get the damage with damage ramping and health ramping, every tick that you're holding someone does deal more damage and increases your max health and heals you. That's really good. You will heal and live very long while holding someone. You require a lot of attention. You burn taser, get out. So like, it does require a lot of attention, especially because it's an infinite hold. You also allow stingers, crushers, or not crushers, stingers, tall boys, bruisers, reekers. Everyone gets value off you holding that person.
That's true. That is the easiest stinger shots you will ever hit in your life.
Right. It's just a lot of value very quickly.
Fair.
But also, holy crap, there are so many bad stalkers. It's unreal. All right. Next is on to the Reekers, and I have Exploder here. What are you looking at?
Exploder I put in B tier.
Wow, look at that.
Because I think they are very much hit or miss. And both literally and just as far as playing them. If you play them well or the other team isn't coordinated, they're really good. Because you can get a lot of damage really fast. If the other team knows how to shoot you, you don't really deal that much damage. And your main source of damage is focused on killing yourself, and you have a respawn timer. So I think with the right upgrades, you get a lot of utility out of them. But I think they're very subjective on how you're trying to play and how the other team is playing. So that's why I put them in B.
That is true. But I do think a lot of teams camp inside, and a lot of maps are conducive to close range. So, like, outside of, like, farm, most maps are pretty closed in. So that really helps exploders. I'm putting them in A.
Okay.
I think blind, super useful. I could be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure exploders get a reduced cooldown.
I think they do too.
Which is
not from any actual evidence, just from playing them, they seem shorter.
Yes. So I think that also benefits them. And there is nothing that prevents you, that will cap damage on cleaners. There are things that will do something if you do a lot more damage over that, but it doesn't matter. And also, exploders apply pus covered, which can utilize bottom tree, which can reduce handling and healing. Which, if you don't realize that and you say, ow, I just took 50 health, what the fuck, let me heal, and now you just healed for 2 and wasted a med. Like, very good.
That's fair.
Vomiter.
Plus, the good teams, even with that, all stick together. Because you kind of have to, otherwise you're screwed.
Yeah,
so
I've never hit a
makes it easier to
4K.
hit a couple.
I've never hit 4 cleaners with 1 exploder. No, never.
Right? Okay, sure.
Vomiter.
Vomiter, I put in A tier.
Wow, look at that.
Because I think they are the best support. I think if your team is doing well, you get some of the slowing upgrades. I think that is the best support in the
What are you saying? Upgrade common?
I'm saying upgrade common. I think bottom tier, because that just slows people down a ton while you're walking through, and that's super irritating. Makes it easier for everybody else to catch up to the cleaners.
Right.
I don't think they have good. I don't think you can play them alone. So if you don't have a Stinger or a Tall Boy or a Reeker or something backing you up, I don't think you can go Wretch, because you're not dealing a ton of damage. But I think their support value is insane.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think they're A tier. I think they deal a lot of area control. No one wants to walk through Vomit. You can pin them into wherever you want and allow your team to just wail on them.
And that's again with everybody camping in the building. You're hitting everybody if you throw up in there.
Right, but even on open maps like Farm, because I'm convinced Farm is the biggest open map. Like, you sit on a roof, you can you can section off a map and probably get people to walk in it because people can't really see it because grass. And even like hawkers are good into that because now you're stuck in the Vomit. You can't do anything. Stalkers, like all of those things that we said, where if you have a taser, good. If not, Vomiter is simply happening.
And even with downs too, you just puke all over the corpse and nobody wants to go for the res.
And the guy downed is dying faster, and you're getting mutation points. It's all good things. And Slapsters, aka generic Reeker.
Slapster McGee I put in S tier because I think
ahead or behind
Stingers. I put Stinger ahead.
Okay.
That was just based on pure damage potential. I think they have the highest damage output if you're good with them, other than Stinger.
Okay.
I think you obviously go middle tree for pus covered because that's a lot, and that's super irritating.
Tree?
Yeah.
The utility.
I think 2 in top for the heal on dash is very good too.
Yep.
Because that's all you're doing is dashing in and then smacking people around.
And even if you go further for the armor.
Yeah.
Because you don't have a crit spot as is.
Well, right. I think the armor is your secondary priority because I think damage and utility.
Yeah, if you can max damage, is what that's like doubling your attack speed on hit.
Yeah, which is absolutely insane.
So I'm putting them at A tier. I'm putting them as the second best A tier so far. I'm putting them behind Exploder.
Interesting.
Because I think Flashbang is really good, and I don't think there are enough good people. I think if you are a good Exploder, you can easily get around people being good, and you can get your Flashbang off. And if you get Flashbang off, that shit's fucking hard to see. Like, that is a really good Flashbang mechanic.
Disgusting.
Like, your Tall Boy's getting in, your Slapster's getting in. I would say Exploder is the best support. Because sure they do a lot of damage, they also allow Stingers to start just fucking wailing. Like, you can't hit a Stinger if you can't see the Stinger. And it's like a 2-second flashbang, and you took half your health, and you can't heal now. But Slapsters are the same thing. They deal, if it's a one-on-one, I don't know any way you can kill a generic Reeker. Like, I think the generic
Grenades.
Reeker will always win outside of grenades. But even if you naded when they're on top of you, now you can't heal again. And you're taking
Right.
damage and you're slowed. Very annoying. They are really good. I just don't think they're the best in their class. Now I am looking at generic Tallboy.
Ooh, baby. I put them in A tier.
Behind or above Wretch?
I put them above Wretch
Okay.
just because I think you don't want to solo a Wretch, right? If your team is just kind of doing whatever, you'd probably want to go Slapster or Stinger or something. Because the Wretch is very much a supporting character. Tallboy, I think you can go by himself.
Right.
I don't know that that's quite as high damage output as a Reeker or a Stinger, but I think they do very well on their own, and especially if you get some of the upgrades. They pretty effectively counter melee build with the overhead smash draining stamina. And those people tend to be the ones who either know how to play the game or have a really good deck. So it's nice to get them out quicker.
I agree with everything you said except for your placement. I think generic Tallboy is an S tier. I think they are
Ooh.
the highest damage output outside of Stingers. Overhead slam, just running pure utility. You have, if you're dashing and doing overhand slam, you do 50% more damage, and it drains stamina, and when you're near them, they do less damage to you. And when you land a hit, you get your dash back as generic Tallboy, which is a vicious cycle of dash spam attacking for a boosted attack, and that's assuming you put nothing into offense. And you're already
Okay.
like 4 to 5 hitting people.
Right.
And I think this is an even more volatile, in a 1v1 situation, you're winning outside of nades.
Just because of the knock up.
Yeah, you're getting knocked up now, you can't heal, you can't shoot back. It's a very bad cycle. And even if you're fighting a lot of enemies, you can probably get 2 to 3 swings in at that point, because you're healing while this is going on if you put any points into health.
Top, right.
They're super annoying, super tough to deal with. Their crit spot isn't easy to hit because they're constantly moving that arm specifically.
And that arm's behind them when they're dashing.
Right. It's
You have this real little corner you gotta hit.
and they're
Yeah.
constantly going between swinging, dashing, and sprinting, and it's a mess to try and hit the crit on them.
Okay. I'll give you that.
Crusher.
Crusher, I put in C tier,
Ahead or behind?
above Pouncer, Stalker, Jumper, whatever they're called.
Jumpster.
For a lot of the reasons you said with Tallboy, the trauma increase, the stun, resist. I think if you can run up and grab somebody with a Crusher, that makes it super easy for your Stinger or your Wretch. I don't like the fact that you just grab and stand there. So they deal a ton of damage, and they, I think, deal the most trauma damage out of anybody.
They deal
which
a
is
lot of
really
trauma
good.
damage. The big issue I think that both of us have is you can't control how they hold them, which is a very large issue. They have two animations.
Definitely are able to.
It's
I
not
don't
easy.
know how.
Yeah, because they either have the animation where they hold it in front of them or they hold it in the air, and the in the air one is terrible because Tallboys cannot hit that. Slapsters, the generic Reeker cannot hit that. I don't think an Exploder can hit that, and a Vomiter can't hit that. So you're completely relying on Stingers to deal damage there, saying you're running Stingers. Ugh. That is truly their worst weakness outside of the fact that their crit is on their fucking mouth and they don't move. And for that, they're going at the bottom of B tier. That is all I have to say about them. And the last special ridden, Bruiser.
I put them in B tier below Exploder.
B tier.
So, yeah. So I was looking at them, and I think the health is super good because they can just eat grenades, which is disgusting. And a lot of people won't be able to switch off, so they'll just hit you with a second grenade. It'll kill you, but that's a lot of grenades to burn on one life.
Unless you're playing us, in which case they have 10 more, so get fucked, idiot.
Well, yeah, that's fair. That's just because we're not allowed to have fun. Uh, but I think they're super strong, especially as you mentioned before. A lot of people like to camp in buildings or camp together. They are slow as heck, so I think on more open maps, right, like the farm, they're not great, which is why they're not higher than B tier. But I think just the tankiness is incredibly good, especially once you start getting some of the damage or the health upgrades.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I'm putting them in C tier, but my
Ouch.
issue is they just don't. They do health very well. They're the only tall boy that I think gets above 1,000 health, and they can take the 2 nades really good. They can heal really good. The issue is their damage isn't great, so going damage on them, they don't utilize it super well. They're pretty slow, and you want to max defense first, so you're probably not maxing another one. Unless you're playing really well and your team sucks and you go to a round 3. Then maybe you'll max a second one. But if you max damage, okay, sure, you get quicker overhead slams. You're still kind of slow, you don't dash in very well, so it's hard to get in with them. And then if you go utility, the stun's nice. It doesn't really matter. If you get stunned, you're probably just getting double naded at that point. Overhead slam drains. Still hard to get in. Burst, you deal more damage and take less damage. That's good. And the tall boy variant reduces damage when you're cleaners. It's still hard to get in, so you can't really utilize that. There's no way for them to get in, and they're really slow, and it's really easy to just stay away from them. I think they're super useful if people camp in a building, which a lot of people do, but it's just like, they're just so eh. Like, you're literally just a meat shield. You don't do anything. That's my issue. And Dom, this is the fun one that we never talk about. What is your opinion on the generic common? Dom, if you are talking, your mic is broke. Dom? Well, my opinion on the matter is that they are just as worthless as a bruiser.
Yeah, but can you hear me now?
I can hear you now, you're right.
Great, love to see it. What I meant is,
I was just talking about bruiser, saying that they don't do anything great. Hard to get in, slow,
no, rude.
tanky.
That's fair.
They don't
I
really.
think out of all the tall boys, they're the only ones who really benefit a ton from health. I guess armor is nice for Crusher, but I think Bruiser gets the most benefit from that, and I think they have the least benefit from utility out of all of the tall boys.
Yeah, I said Fear Aura is good. I said you probably only
Yeah.
get 2 if you're playing stupid well and you go to a round 3. You probably only get 2 maxed on like a typical game. Like, we have exceptions,
Yeah, that's fair.
but like,
Yeah. So I think you get damage and health with Bruiser versus any other tall boy you get damage.
well, yeah, but then at that
utility.
point it's hard to get in. Whereas if
Right.
you go utility health, you aren't really doing a lot of damage now, but now you're kind of never dying, which is kind of good. But you also really aren't doing a lot because your right click is terrible. Their right click is
Yeah, right
real
click
bad.
is
Don't use it.
You're better off just using
play
the
like you're a
overhead slam.
generic tall boy, but you're slow. That's how you play them.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then I was saying, I think common upgrades, I think they are worse than just going bruiser and upgrading bruiser. I don't think it's a win condition. Even if you're going like vomiter or something, I think upgrading, like going for maxed common, is not good.
Yeah, I would agree.
Where
I put them in middle between Crusher and Pouncer of C tier. Because, I mean, yeah, I don't think you win based off common unless the other team is really bad, in which case you're winning anyway.
Exactly. Like I don't know a scenario in which case you would win specifically because you upgraded common. Honestly, I might put them like in
Right.
deep, but I put them lower than bruiser. So like, yeah.
Yeah, they're not. I think some upgrades, especially middle tree, I think has some slows and health healing reductions. Those can be really good, but I don't think you ever just straight up go for common. I think you're always upgrading something else.
Right.
And that's like your afterthought. Oh, I have extra points, may as well put it in here.
And I think that's fine. I'm not saying don't do that. Don't
Right,
get the idea that you don't ever upgrade them. You do not treat them as your win condition. You do not go, yes, I'm maxing this because this will lead us to win, like you would do on a Stinger or a generic Tall Boy or a Slapping Reeker. Like, you max those because you will win by doing that. You don't max common thinking, yes, the slow on the common will win me this game. It'll be really annoying and the other team won't like it, but it'll be really annoying and help your Stinger land shots, your bruiser get in, right? It'll help your win condition confirm kills. It's not winning for you.
Right.
But I do think if you're bad at the game, no, upgrade common. Yeah, that's good. I'm fine with that.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. But at that point, you could upgrade literally anything and be fine. That's what I'm saying is your upgrading common isn't going to win you the game. You're not going to go into a game going, well, these guys could be really good or really bad. I'm upgrading common because we'll win. You go, oh, I'm upgrading Stinger. And then you decide the other team is terrible, and you start upgrading common and playing a Hawker.
I see one now.
We've never done that, by the way, so. Yet.
With Hawker specifically, I don't think we have.
We've done it on Wretch.
We've done it with Stalker, and yeah.
Stalkers. And Crushers, I think.
Probably, yeah.
Anyway, that's the whole tier list. Here's Dom's, and here is mine. Similar, but different. I mean, obviously we'd have similar ones. We play together. We share a lot of the same opinions. But the differences come in just preference, right? Like
Pretty
Dom
much,
has
yeah.
a preference to slapshers. I have a preference to
Oh, they're
dashing
so
tall
good.
boys. But
Yeah, and you can kind of see that in that list.
right. I mean, outside of that, it's pretty similar. I value getting rid of stun guns more. I mean, very similar. So
That said, during the next update, whenever that happens, when they release a hag as a playable Ridden,
they will be S tier.
straight
When
to the
they
top.
give us hag, when we just start seeing these guys, oh man, they're
Yeah,
all
Hag,
fucking S
Ogre,
tiers.
and
If you let me play as one of those sleepers, dude, it's fucking over.
Breaker.
The sleepers, the wall guys, let me just
Those are
put
so
myself on a
annoying.
wall and then fucking shoot out at someone.
Well, then you're sitting there for 45 minutes until somebody walks around the.
You act like someone wouldn't walk around anyway.
That's fair. I'm playing a Breaker when that happens.
I just yeeted all of them into my S tier. Whoever this frog guy is,
Perfect.
I'm sure he's sick as fuck too.
Whoever this frog guy is.
Yeah, I have like this weird frog thing.
All
I don't know.
right.
Alright, well that's the whole
probably S
tier
tier.
list. Thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe because the YouTube stuff, algorithm, yes, shilling. This is me shilling. Yes, do the things. Do the YouTube algorithm things. Yes.